Hi, everybody. Hi, race fans, NASCAR fans. I'm Charlie Turner. We're here again this week to do our race rewind recap for On Pit Row and On Pit Row magazine with me, Charlie Turner, and my cohort partner in crime, Dan Beaver. Hey, Dan, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Beautiful day in Central Texas.
Is it? Yeah, it's a beautiful day here too. We're supposed to maybe get a little bit of rain this afternoon, but we could use it, so I'm not going to complain much about that. It's just been beautiful, lower 70s, low humidity, kind of nice. So Pocono, our first of two races at the big triangle over there, 2.5 mile flat track in Pennsylvania. What did you think of Sunday? We had a repeat winner, popular repeat winner, Dale Earnhardt Jr. Always a big story whenever Junior wins a race, and kind of was accommodated in his win by Brad Keselowski, who I thought was going to win that race.
Yeah, Keselowski certainly had the dominant car, and by that standpoint, should have won. By that measure, he should have won. But turnabout's kind of fair play. Earnhardt had a dominant car earlier, Las Vegas, I think, and
Right.
ran out of gas in that final lap, and Keselowski got that win. So this was kind of that evening the scales of justice, I suppose. Uh,
I don't know that Keselowski feels that way much, but
Now I don't think there's anything that makes you feel better about losing a race, especially when you've had a car that's that dominant. Um, and in Earnhardt's case, he knew he probably was going to run out of gas.
yeah.
Keselowski knew he might blow up, but it wasn't certain, and he did what he had to do. He just didn't expect Danica to slow down as much in front of him as she did and kill his momentum as much. I think it was the right call, just the wrong outcome for him.
So was that do you put anything off on Danica or the Stewart-Haas team for maybe helping their Chevy partner out there?
No, not at all. Uh, I think that was just a matter of she wasn't running well after hitting the wall. I'm sure she just got loose, just pushed. She probably had no idea what Keselowski was doing, and it just happened to be a bad circumstance that he ran into. So I don't think that anyone could think quite that fast, seeing him come up on them, know that he had debris on his grill and he was going to do in order to make that work. So I think the
Yeah,
conspiracy theorists had
yeah, I agree with you. There were some comments about that on Twitter and around NASCAR Nation the last day or so, and I don't see it as being that. I think it was more anti-Danica sentiment than anything else, really. But
yeah, NASCAR fans like a good conspiracy, and if
sure.
their driver doesn't win, there's got to be some reason. So
What do you mean? I thought everybody's driver was Dale Earnhardt Jr.
uh, I think Dale Earnhardt Jr. is what Richard Petty used to be.
Yeah,
If my guy can't win, I'll be glad if he does. So
yeah. It's hard to not like the guy. And that being said, it was a great race day for most of the Chevy teams, at least two of the big Chevy teams, Stewart-Haas Racing and Hendrick Motorsports. Hendrick had four cars up there for a long time till Casey Kane got kind of taken out by Kyle Busch, and Stewart-Haas had all four of theirs at one point, I think, in the top 12, including Danica, who was running 12th at the time. Good weekend for those guys. I got to give a shout out to you. You called the Kurt Busch performance this week.
yeah, I did, and actually got a little more enthusiastic about him after qualification and practice. And in my Yahoo preview, I suggested he'd be a good driver to start because if he was going to, that was going to be a good omen. The trick with him still is and always is, can he stay out of trouble and can the crew get the job done? And he had moments when it didn't look like it would turn out as well as it did, but they overcame him, and he got that strong top five finish. I think Denny Hamlin was the other guy who may have turned his season around with that race. On the heels of a strong run at Dover, he now has two top fives in a row, and it's time he may be finally shaking off whatever malaise, whatever problems that team experienced, bad luck, whatever it is.
Yeah, it could have
But
been
whatever they,
leftover. Could have been leftover injury. A lot of times those injuries take longer to heal than we know.
Yeah, and we never get the truth from the driver,
Right.
and can't blame them for that. If they told us everything, then sponsors would be worried and what have you. So you never get the truth, so you never know exactly how much he was struggling.
Yeah, good run for Hamlin. Switching back real quick to the Stewart-Haas Racing team, the driver in that team that had the worst luck and the worst experience in the pits was Kevin Harvick, who's a guy you say is kind of prone to those kinds of things. Two flat tires within a very short period of time took a contender really out of contention.
Yeah, and that's been what hurt him in the last two races.
Hmm.
The valve problem at Dover, that problem here, and it's the only two times all season that he's finished worse than 11th, though. So they're certainly not going to panic, but they do need to stop having those kinds of mistakes before they get to the chase. Otherwise, he's just making the chase in a field of 16 isn't going to be enough to make your season. You got to at least make it to that second or third round before your name is going to get mentioned with any kind of regularity the following season.
Tony Stewart had a good run. Again, you kind of pointed out, kind of gave everybody a heads up to look for that this week, going to flat track at Pocono, where it seems that Stewart has started his summer runs in the past. He led a bunch of laps. Good calls in the pits that got him there, I think, as much as anything. Did you see enough of Tony this week to think he's back?
I think so. Uh, it was kind of a reverse of what's happened in the first part of the season, though. For a lot of the first part, most of his good runs, he struggled for a big portion of the race and then got the call right at the end, got the car right at the end, and marched to the front in the final segment. This time he was good all day, kind of made the wrong strategy calls, so that he slipped outside the top 15 or top 10 to finish in between in that 11th to 15th range, and it wasn't the result that he deserved. I wouldn't think of him as being all that relevant at Michigan, perhaps, but when we get back to some of the flat tracks, when we get to Indy, when we get to the road courses, I think we'll see the summer Stewart that we're accustomed to seeing.
How about that Kyle Larson kid? He's kind of the real thing, isn't he?
He is. Uh, there's the hyperbole stops being hyperbole at a certain point
Mm-hmm.
when it just becomes accepted fact. And a top five, I'm going to be shocked if he doesn't win a race. I don't know that we will ever have a chance to predict where that race is going to be because he runs kind of consistently strong every place. And I'm not sure that Chip Ganassi is ready to contend for victories every week. But the difference between the number 42 this year and last year with Juan Pablo behind the wheel is striking, and you got to wonder: are more resources being pumped into that organization, or is this just the difference between having a does Larson have a better feel for a stock car coming through the dirt track ranks than Montoya did coming through the open wheel ranks?
Well, that's kind of the way it looks to me, and that's that car control thing, and it shows up more on these flatter tracks. I kind of look for with the success that Ganassi's had in the past at Indianapolis at the Brickyard. I think if you're going to call for Larson to win one somewhere, that might be the one.
And the Brickyard can get into long green flag segments at the end.
Mm-hmm.
You had Menard winning a fuel mileage race a couple of years back. So Indy's not prone to dark horses, but it's certainly not immune to them either.
Yep. All right. So anything else surprise you about our first trip to Pocono, and anything that you saw that will influence your thinking on it going there in, 5 weeks? Going back.
Kind of the same thing I think that we may have touched on last week. We're into a period of the season where momentum is so huge. You've got Pocono separated by 6 races, I believe. You've got Michigan separated by 7 races for their 2 events. And you've got the road courses separated by about 5 weeks. So this is the time to develop momentum, especially if you're good on all 3 of those tracks. It's not coming up, I don't think Jimmy Johnson's going to be particularly strong at Michigan. That's been one of his Achilles heels. But one reason for that is neither of their races is in the chase, so they haven't really worried about it. His sixth place finish last week is going to keep him front of mind. We had some other good, strong dark horses last week, though. Between Bush, Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr., Jamie McMurray, Ryan Newman, you had some fresh faces at the front of the pack, and that could continue during the summer because of that those momentum building races.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. We're going into the real summer. Going to be at Michigan this weekend for the race and for the prelims on Friday. So I'm looking forward to that. See what these guys look like up close and personal. That's been our race rewind for the Pocono 400. Thanks for joining us today. If you did or watching the replay, we'll be back again next week to talk about the Pure Michigan 400 at Michigan Speedway this Sunday. Dan, thanks.
Thank you.